situation in southeast Oregon where protesters have taken over a federal building and are threatening violence. Some are armed militia members, some are members of the Bundy family, known for their stand against the feds last year in Nevada. And tonight they're saying they're willing to kill and be killed.
We're not used to this kind of thing.
This all has to do with a ranching family in Harney County, the Hammonds. The Hammonds have had a long legal battle with the Federal Bureau of Land Management. They were convicted of setting fires to public land. K2's Chris Lytle has traveled to Burns and joins us live tonight. Chris, you spoke with a church pastor there. Does the community want this militia in town?
Yeah, from what we're hearing, no, but we have spoken to a couple of people from Burns. They say that the federal government has gone too far in this case. Now, earlier today, hundreds descended on Burns to protest the prosecution of two Harney County ranchers, Steve and Dwight Hammond. Among the supporters is Ammon Bundy. He is among several people who have called on militia and patriot groups to bring force to Burns. Now, militia members from states as far away as Arizona and Montana came in for the protest today. While the protests remained peaceful, many people in Burns did not join the rally, fearing violence is imminent. We spoke to Brian Bowman. He's a pastor here in Burns. He told us Harney County does not welcome the militia.
Did they pay the price? In my opinion, and many others, yes, they did. And for them to be given a further, more severe sentence, a lot of people are like, that just doesn't seem right. However, there are proper channels to go through. And bringing in a militant view, saying we're going to rise up if we don't get our way, we're going to use armed resistance, that's just not right.
I spoke to Ammon Bundy by phone. He told me they plan to stay in Burns until the county steps in and offers a safe haven for the two ranchers. The county sheriff has told me they will uphold the law, and the Hammonds will have to report to federal prison on Monday. Now, in response to the protest, Harney County School District has canceled schools for the entire week. And Anna, I'll tell you, many people in Burns here fear the militia. Live in Burns, Chris Lytle, K2 News.
That's an intense situation down there, Chris. Thank you. Just to give you some background here, Dwight Hammond and his son Stephen have been sentenced to 5 years in prison for setting 2 arsons on federal lands. Witnesses say a fire broke out in 2001 after Stephen Hammond at a hunting party illegally slaughtered deer on federal property and then started the fire to cover it up. The second arson conviction was for starting backfires in 2006 to save winter feed. That was despite a burn ban in effect because of high fire danger. Arson on federal land carries a 5-year minimum sentence, but the Hammonds argued that was unconstitutional. A trial court gave them much less time than 5 years, but both the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court wound up sentencing them to the full 5 years based on federal law. Dwight Hammond claims the first arson burned only 127 acres.
And I'm going to jail for 5 years for 127. Seems like a bit of an overkill.
Nevertheless, as you heard Chris say, the Hammonds are expected to turn themselves in on Monday. The Bundy family, in the meantime, from Nevada, those were the families that was the family that made headlines last year when they engaged the police and government in an armed confrontation. That's one of the protesters supporting the Bundys getting tasered by law enforcement. Hundreds of militiamen went to Nevada to help rancher Cliven Bundy. The feds said he owed 20 years' worth of grazing fees for his cattle, about $1 million. The Bureau of Land Management rounded up his livestock. Protesters, some armed, advanced on the feds, and the cattle were eventually released. Now, the Bundys are expected to speak tomorrow morning at a press conference in Burns. Chris Lytle will stay in Southern Oregon to cover this situation. He'll be there tomorrow morning as well, along with his reports on air. You can follow his tweets using the